Hi, this is Astro Indicator Update. My name is Stephen, and we are having excursions into practical astrology. Today's date is June 4th, 2019. And here's today's content. We're going to look at the Moon Void of Course calendar for next week, June 10th through the 17th. We'll do a market review of several markets and just kind of take a look at how our astrological timing dates are doing. And then we'll look at Trump's June 18th rally, which will be the kickoff for his presidential campaign. So here's the Moon Void of Course calendar for next week. And again, I'll try to be brief, but I think this is important. What is a void of course moon? A void of course moon is the transition period when the moon is moving from one astrological sign to another. For example, moving from Leo into Virgo, okay? And sometimes this can take minutes, just a few minutes. You'll never notice anything, or an hour is a fairly short period, but sometimes this can take hours, and even on some occasions a full day. And when that happens, there is definitely a shift in mood and sentiment and psychology that I think is important to be aware of. And the key words that I use to describe this experience is that there is a sense of disengagement and there's a shift kind of into neutral. It's really hard to stay on track with your to-do list during a void of course moon. So the ideal way to deal with this, to handle these time periods, is to take a day off, to go play, to rest, regroup. The things that, from the astrological point of view, to be aware of, are that this is a bad time to make big decisions, or to buy a house, or to buy a car, or to get married, or to have that very important business meeting. Those important things you should try to reschedule to another time during the day or to a different day. So what are the VC moon periods for next week? Well, on Monday, unlike this week, I'm just to review a little bit, unlike this week, we didn't have hardly any long VC moon periods. We have sort of a long one, a 5-hour one on Thursday, this Thursday, which would be the 6th of June. And you can go back and look at my other video and get the time for that. It's in the morning on June 6th, Pacific time. But next week we have two sizable time periods, which I think it's worthwhile knowing about. So Monday, June 10th, from 5:01 a.m. to 5:30 essentially p.m. it's a void of course moon. On Wednesday the 12th, from 8:15 a.m. over 12 hours later to 9:02 p.m. is a void of course moon, right in midweek. And then Friday we have it during the morning up. No, I take that back. It turns void of course on 12:45 p.m. And I am going to just check on my calendar and make sure so Friday. Yeah. So all afternoon, it is void of course on Friday. The moon is in a sign in the morning, and then it goes void of course in the afternoon. And again, it's important, this is all Pacific Daylight Time, so you need to convert these times if you live on the East Coast or wherever. So in this podcast, I want to look at how we're doing with the markets that I track. And, every time I need to say this, but this is a chart of, this is a proxy, an ETF for the Dow Jones. DIA, you see it up here, and I have a lot of technical indicators on this chart. The horizontal lines are support and resistance levels right here. The green lines are common trend lines that you find in technical analysis, but all the vertical ones are related to the astrology of the Dow Jones Industrials. So we've had some, key points. These two timing dates were very, very close to the top. This one seemed sort of neutral. This one indicated a bounce. This one definitely indicated a big change, and that's what you get out of these timing dates. There's big changes happening. Now this is midday on June 4th, and the market has extended higher than that little candle that you see right there, and it's up like 400 points. And I could have drawn a vertical line here yesterday, but it wasn't the most important. I didn't regard it as the most important astrological day. But this day, June 6th, it would be kind of June 5th and 6th, so tomorrow and Thursday, is a pretty important key day in my research. And so this will be very telling what the market does on tomorrow and on Thursday. Likely it'll trade up to this green neck, what's called a neckline, that's right here. We have a very nice, what's called head and shoulders pattern. This is probably going to carry the market higher, but we have a lot of down momentum. We're oversold down here in the momentum indicators, and it really wouldn't surprise me to at the least see the market the rest of this week trading up to this green line right here. And then we have a period of time, almost 10 days or so, no, maybe more longer, maybe 2 weeks, until we get the next key date. And so we'll see if there's some follow through after Thursday on this buying energy. If there's not follow through, we may trade down to this June 21st date that you see at the bottom here, which is this vertical line. So that's how you use these things. You see them ahead of time, and then if there's nothing, very often the market will trade down. Okay. So let's look at gold. Gold, if you look at I think my video of last week, I emphasized that very likely we were going to get a breakout higher. I said something like from May 27th to June, 5th was very strong astrological energy. And we got this big, rally happening that blew through a couple, 3 resistance levels, okay? We'll see if the momentum carries forward. A lot of fundamental news indicates that it will continue higher. The astrology is sort of missing, though. And so we'll just have to see. I'm playing this by ear. Ideally, I would like to see this market trade sideways above this green trend line right here. Okay. Now, if the Dow Jones Industrials heads higher, the gold market may slip back. If we only get a few days more bounce in the major indexes, then the gold market may trade sideways and then up if those if the S&P and the Dow start to fall back again. You'll have to look at the U.S. dollar in comparison and contrast because they trade inversely. But this was a very strong day right through here. And when you have such a rare astrological occurrence, then very often it can create momentum that lasts a while. So we'll have to watch this one closely. Okay, Bitcoin. Well, the dates on Bitcoin, they hold up. They're a little like they're almost a day early frequently, or a day late. And so this kind of indicated a high. This was an important day down. But tomorrow we have a fairly important day. And tomorrow and Thursday, oddly enough, it kind of matches up with the Dow Jones Industrials. So June 5th and 6th are key dates with Bitcoin. And if we get a bounce on June 5th and 6th, particularly if it heads through these blue resistance levels, then this market will continue higher. Okay, so you need to circle your calendar when you're listening to me and see if these things happen, because this is the advantage of astrology, is that you can look ahead and you can kind of see when important things will take place and be prepared for them. Okay, so again, the next couple days in Bitcoin, and then June 11th in Bitcoin is a fairly strong day too. This is a little bit shorter podcast than usual. Mine have been going a little long, I think, for most people's tastes. But I wanted to look at, just like I looked at Joe Biden's kickoff rally for his presidential campaign, let's look at Donald Trump's, because they announced just within the last few days that he was going to be starting his campaign on June 18th in Orlando. And I did a little homework, and I found out the tickets say that the event will start at 8 p.m. on the 18th in Orlando. Okay, so we did a chart for that, and we just look at the chart. I mean, I could have compared, well, I will be comparing this chart with Donald Trump's chart to some extent, but the chart itself suggests some things, indicates some things that we'll point out. And to begin with, what really stands out with this chart, this 8 p.m. chart on June 18th, is that the ascendant is conjunct Trump's moon in his natal chart. Trump, in his natal chart, has the moon at 21 Sagittarius. So it's very unusual. He should feel at home there, very comfortable there, even though I think it's a Democratic stronghold. I think he should feel well received. And on top of that, at that time, we have Jupiter conjunct the ascendant, which actually is the ruler of this sign. Jupiter is associated, is related to Sagittarius. This is the overriding positive element and energy in this chart, is having Jupiter on the ascendant. There are some negatives I can point out, but this one, I think, outweighs everything else. In addition, it's in a fairly strong association with opposite Venus. It's not a direct opposition, 18-12, but it's opposite Venus. And there are aspects between Venus and other planets, and so it adds to the energy, a positive energy. In addition, Venus is the ruler of the 10th house. It's the ruler of Libra, and the 10th deals with one's profession, career advancement, public appearance, how you appear to the public, and so forth. So these are the positives I listed here. Jupiter on the ascendant. It's hard to beat that. He has Mars conjunct Mercury opposite Pluto, which is, could go in a number of different directions, to put it mildly. It is a very powerful combination. Powerful for speaking, powerful for dealing with really important issues, kind of dealing with the masses, expressing your own power. So all in all, I would say that is a positive. I've already mentioned this. Venus is the 10th house ruler. It's an aspect with Jupiter, very positive. And then this is a little bit more esoteric. I deal with what are called declinations. They're somewhat similar to transits in astrology. They tell you what's going on in the current moment. I'm not going to show you, the ephemeris of this, but at this moment, he will have Moon, Mercury, Mars, and Jupiter all what's called parallel, and that's the symbol for it. And so this too is a positive. Okay, the negatives are that at that moment, if he starts speaking at 8 o'clock or close to it, the moon will be conjunct Saturn. It's unusual. It's like there's a conflicting energy here between the ascendant on his moon and the existing moon at that time conjunct Saturn. So there's going to be elements that are, that are objecting to his speech in some fashion. Maybe he'll get, what's the term I'm trying to think of here? He'll get people yelling things at him and so forth. So there may be some energy in the room that isn't completely conducive to, feeling welcome. Also, he's got Sun in the 7th, which is a slightly weak place to have a person's sun in this type of astrology. And finally, I would just add the fact that he's got Mars on that day, at that moment, Mars opposite Pluto, essentially opposite Saturn, is that, his security forces need to be on their toes on this day. But Trump, to offset that, Trump has a very strong Mars in his chart. He's a risk taker, and he's probably always had to have been security conscious in all his business dealings, his campaigns for presidents and so forth. So, but there is a heightened sense of risk going on at that moment that needs to be addressed. So that's it for today. Again, this is a little bit about me. My name is Stephen. I have an art background, master's degree in psychology. I've been studying astrology for 40 years. For a short period of time, I did it professionally, and I've been applying astrology to the financial markets for 25 years. I'm what could be considered a hard money, hard currency advocate, and I think cryptocurrencies have many, many benefits. So if you like this, please subscribe. I do accept Bitcoin as a donation. This is my Bitcoin address down here. And I hope to get back to you in about a week. Bye for now.